Do you remember the good old days when you could just sit down, play some video games without having drums kicking down your door because you dared to play a video game that has a black person in it? Oh, holy fucking shit, guys. I can feel his fucking presence coming anytime now. Good times. Halo and Oblivion. Actually, wait. There were black people in those. Hmm. Fortunately, I am a user of Twitter.com. And the new conservative grift is talking about politics and video games. Tragic, I know. Because this idea was never formulated prior to 2016, and every game before that was apolitical, boring slogfests that had nothing to say, apparently. Yeah, 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 I know. Shocking to most right-wing commentators. Yes, my friends, there was a political discourse prior to 2016. I don't know, something about emails and pizza, I wasn't really paying attention. I was too busy playing Morrowind and doing that whole rotting away thing. So it's a shocker to me when I see some takes online gathering steam that make me feel really old and remind me of Gamergate. So why am I talking about such a pointless topic when I have more important things to talk about? First of all, fuck you. Second of all, it's really fucking annoying. Like, I see the shit on my timeline every single time I open up Twitter. Oh boy, Assassin's Creed has a black dude in it? Cool. Oh god, Avowed has gay people in it? I'm fucking devastated. As I'm writing this, I had to look up why these grifts hated Avowed. And I'll be honest, imagine hating a game because it has a gay character in it. It's like it's never been done before, and it's a revolutionary idea that yes, a gay person can play a role in the story. So let's talk about Assassin's Creed Shadows, most recent conservative meltdown in the gaming space. This game cracked 2 million players on its release, shattering the expectations of right-wing grifters on the internet. But they will make sure to let you know that this game didn't truly hit 2 million players, with no evidence whatsoever besides Steam charts. Oh boy. That's a thing these cuckolds like to throw around. Steam player numbers, now hold on. Going a little fast here. I think we're missing a massive part of the story here. Now, let me present you with an alternative way of thinking, a different fact per chance. Has anybody ever told you about, and bear with me on this one, come on, come close, come close, come close, come. I'm reaching beyond the veil here to tell you about this revolutionary idea. You do realize that people play on alternative platforms, right? That PC's not the only place you can play a fucking video game. Oh, I know. It's so fucking wild. Dude, give me a fucking Nobel Prize. Earth-shattering shit. I am still shaking in my boots. You guys do realize you also have to take into account not only Steam, but Xbox, PlayStation, and Ubi's own store? Well, holy shit, guys. The presses. I think Zachary might be fucking cooking on this one and not huffing paint. We've also gotten to the point where we're pulling random fucking narratives out of thin air and claiming that Assassin's Creed Shadows must be doing well because it's packaged in with Intel GPUs and CPUs. I actually fucking bursted out laughing reading this. The level of mental gymnastics required to think this way is asinine. From what I've seen, the game really isn't all that bad if you aren't triggered by seeing gay or black people. Actually, no. It's a choice to see gay people. It's a choice to get these scenes, just like it was a choice to fuck a bear in Baldur's Gate 3. Sorry, you are just going to have to accept that, yes, in Japanese history, there was a black samurai. Yasuke. Oh my god, I actually got that correct the first time. Yasuke was the first African samurai, and he was also the first non-Japanese samurai. I usually don't like to yap about ancient history. I will leave the specific details for actual scholars, but for the context of this video, we have to have a basic understanding of the history on why Yasuke was on Japan at the time of this game, and why there even is a black samurai. Yasuke was the only and first non-Japanese samurai. Yasuke, I hope I'm saying that correctly, came to Japan in 1579 with an Italian missionary named Alessandro Valiano. Yeah, I think that's how you say that. on an inspection tour. Some say he's an escaped slave, but that's undecided. Arriving in Kyoto, he stumbled upon a feudal lord named Oda Nobunaga? Nobunaga? Yeah, okay, cool. You know, that's why you do your research on these videos, Zach. That's why you do it. Oda Nobunaga, who was first thrown off by Yasuke's height and build, since this was the first time Oda has seen an African. Yasuke was soon enlisted in Oda's ranks, being described as a man who had the might of 10 men. Yasuke was said to have fought in many battles, and is also said to be present the night Oda took his own life, marking the end of his empire in 1582. This also marks the end of the known history of Yasuke, as he was exiled soon after. Didn't think this would be a history channel, but here we are. I opened a can of worms on this topic, and there's a lot of history I could go over. Like how Yasuke, after being exiled, went back to the original order he came from, called the Jesuits, a religious order for the Catholic Church who was headquartered in Rome. Or how Yasuke was requested by Oda to see what an African actually looked like. But like I said, I would leave that to more qualified people to talk about. Now that we've talked about how having this character in this game is relevant, now we can start to cut through the narratives that surround this game, and I promise I will make this quick. First of all, artist freedom. I could have sworn just a couple of years ago we were talking about how we shouldn't shackle writers and artists just to fit our narrative. Well, I guess that whole idea gets sidelined as soon as it doesn't fit our narrative. I am all for writers writing what they want, and I will offer my critiques if I find something I don't like about it. I love Morrowind, but I know it has issues. Example being narratively, Morrowind falls in its final act, and expects an expansion to fix all of those unfinished narratives. While you can have problems and criticisms of a media's execution and political writing, the argument kind of falls apart when the criticism is you simply disagreeing with the message. I can say that Call of Duty's portrayal of patriotism isn't the way patriotism should be written, and that there are better ways at portraying acts of patriotism in an honest way. But you won't hear me hate Call of Duty stories because I think the propping up of the military-industrial complex and the propagandization of the US military is morally wrong in my eyes. I can say that, but it wouldn't be a good way of criticizing the media. This ties back into the narrative that we see today. Just because you disagree with the notion of having a gay/black characters in a video game doesn't mean that the media is bad because of that. It'd be fine if you had problems with the way they were written, but it really does seem like the whole problem with these games pretty much boiled down to not wanting black or gay representation in these video games. And that's stupid. You are leaving out the major parts of what makes a game, and writing all that off simply because you see a minority in a video game. There's gameplay, mechanics, art direction. I could go all day talking about the specifics of game design, but I'm not Patrician TV. That's pretty much it in regards to the whole narrative that surrounds this game. The game is being written off as woke because someone on Twitter refuses to accept that history did happen. There was a black person that was a samurai in 1579, and no amount of historical revisionism will change that fact. Assassin's Creed has always been about assassins in a time period of history, to show that history. To talk about Japan and removing part of its history wouldn't make it an Assassin's Creed game. Now, I'll be fair, you can say that Assassin's Creed has diluted the formula of gameplay and it's become a shell of its former self. But that's not because of the fact that Ubi decided that a black person should be in the game. Now onto Avowed. I had to check why this game got so much hate, and it really does boil down to the boogeyman of the right, DEI. In this instance, it's about gender. You have more gender options, and the characters in the world will refer to you as the gender you picked, and there are characters that don't fit the narrow binary choice of male or female in a world of magic with gods. At this point, I don't even know why we have to argue this point. It's a world of whimsical magic, but apparently the whole idea of there being more than two genders was just a tad too far. The valid criticisms of Avowed are pretty standard. The hand-holding tutorial, never trusting the player to actually play with the tools they're given, and its in-game puzzles are less than desired. And the odd faces in the first area didn't exactly help the launch. But that doesn't make Avowed hated. As a matter of fact, the only thing I've seen were surface-level observations and comparing it to Skyrim, which is fair, but last time I checked, Bethesda didn't patent the first-person fantasy sandbox genre. It is just a shame that a game like Avowed came in the crosshairs of right-wing grifters dragging this game through the mud for a couple extra dollars from Elon Musk. The game has problems, but to say this game was terrible because of it being woke or DEI is disingenuous and frankly brain dead. But I don't expect anyone on Twitter, now known as X, to actually have an in-depth criticism of these video games beyond the first 5 tweets on the subject. Because if you want in-depth critique, you actually have to, actually play the fucking game. I doubt any of the hot takes on Twitter came from people who actually own the game, let alone played through the introduction of any of these games. If that were the case, I think Avowed would probably have been viewed in a better light. The whole idea of DEI, as I've detailed in a video in the past, is to include people's who usually aren't included. In this context, it is fleshing out the world to provide a connection from our world to the world the artist is trying to create, to humanize their piece of work. That's why a painting of a cityscape, you might see people walking around and not blobs of ooze if you are trying to establish a connection between our and the world you were created in the painting. I know art is subjective, and what you think media should look like might differ wildly from what I think media should look like. But the question that will eventually be raised is the question of if you really like playing video games. Or are you like someone said flawlessly in their own video on the subject Kapakaiju, playing video games to reinforce a worldview and then force that worldview onto others?
The biggest takeaway from this is most of this discourse comes from people that truly don't play games for fun, but to reinforce their current worldview and try and force it upon others, which is amazing because that's what they assume other people are doing to them.
If there had to be a thesis in this video, it's that developers shouldn't be shackled by what someone has to say on Twitter, and games shouldn't live by the narrow binary ideology of if it's woke or not. It's a vague description that isn't defined, and what has been written on the subject has boiled down to the most simplistic of concepts. No gay people or minorities, women who appeal to the male gaze, and finally, the game has to have a story that reinforces your narrow worldview. These aren't gamers, these are political commentators trying to cash in on the grift to seem cool to younger audiences. I'm sure Grums has a passion for video games like I do, but he doesn't enjoy video games. Enjoying video games entails letting down the guard of politics and actually enjoying a video game for what it is. Not soying out when you see a black person or a gay person, just shutting down and enjoying a video game. Like the good old days. While I was writing this video, a bombshell dropped on Twitter, and it seems like Ubisoft got tired of these grifter rats attacking their game, and fired back at both Elon Musk and Grums. It is weird to see such an interaction because you usually don't see these brands taking the risk on clapping back on such sensitive topics. Oh, and just a little additive here for the end here. Grums finally ended up blocking me on Twitter. Feels pretty fucking good that I got under his skin. Anyway, on to a wellness check, folks. Hello again, friend. Don't forget to give yourself some time to heal. You deserve it, especially after what you've been through. Sometimes you need to sit down and understand what happened, and develop as a person. But the question you may be asking is, what if I don't get well? And the only answer to that is as simple as trust me. You will, one day, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but you will get better. Every day is a single stepping stone closer to your goal. Sure, you will have days where you won't feel like you've done anything to feel better, and the pain will hurt deep inside of you, but you have to take it one step at a time. Develop yourself and use that pain to be used towards something that will propel yourself forward. You can slip and you can fall, but you need to get back up. Reality isn't going to wait for you to take it at your own pace. Reality isn't going to show you its gifts if you give up. It will be hard, but it's human to overcome adversity against all odds. You underestimate your own worth and the strength both physically and mentally. You must walk through darkness to appreciate the light when it comes. Victory over adversity comes through dedication and willingness to look at your past and accept it for what it is, and learning from it. Not running away from it, but embracing it. Your eyes must adjust to the darkness to find the light. You must enjoy the solitude and solace that darkness brings, because it will teach you a lot more about yourself and force you to confront your deepest problems. It won't be easy, but I know you can do it. The strength you will need has been in you forever, but to get it you bleed. As always, my friend, farewell for now. Don't you dare go hollow. Thank you.